Fellow Toastmasters, good evening once again, and welcome to our speech contest preparation session. Our agenda, as you have just been introduced to myself and Toastmaster Patrick, then we are going to look at the types of speech contests that we offer here in Toastmasters. The contest chair preparation and responsibilities, the chief judge's preparation and responsibilities, timelines, very, very important, timelines and resources. And then, of course, our upcoming training that we would like all of you to participate in, and then also remind some other persons who are interested in contests to join us. Moving forward, why speech contests matter. Now, DTM Munnings just gave you a mouthful about speech contests and what they are, what they're all about. Why do we have them? Of course, as you can see, we have speech contests to develop our communication and leadership skills. That's what we do in Toastmasters, to motivate and inspire members, recognize speaking excellence. Like DTM Munning says, it's not all about winning a trophy or being named first place, put in first place, but it's to notify how excellently we speak. Next, add fun and engagement to the program. It's not all about just attending meetings and being bored. No, we have fun, and to have fun, we do that through our contests. Competition is good. Contest progression. Now, of course, we know we are already in club level competition. As a matter of fact, some clubs are having a competition as we speak. So, club level, you can start from today forward. You can have your club level competition. Then, of course, your winners.
No, go ahead.
Level. The competition gets hotter at the area level. And then, of course, we have the division level. Here's where the creme de la creme meet all of the other creme de la cremes. And then they move on to the district level. And if you have never competed in or witnessed a district level competition, then I invite you to ensure that you are at conference this year to have that awesome types of speech contests. Now, at the club level, we're going to focus on 3. But of course, you know that there are actually how many contests that you could have at the club level? Anyone knows? Anyone can help me with that? We're going to focus on 3 at the district level. District. Anybody knows how many you can actually have at the club level, though?
4.
You can open your mic.
Under 5.
4.
Close. No, it's not 4. It's actually one more. I heard somebody with the answer.
5.
Mark, go ahead.
5.
5. There are actually 5 contests that you can have, but for district, we focus on the table topics, evaluation, and the international speech. Can someone tell me what the other 2 are that you could possibly do?
Tall tales and humorous speech.
Excellent, Evelyn. Tall tales and the humorous speech. You can do them at club level, but you wouldn't see them at the area, the division, or the district level. But they are interesting to do in your club. So we encourage you. All presidents and VPEs to begin planning. That's why we're here tonight. Begin planning these 3 specific contests. Lauren, take it away.
Let's talk about one of the linchpins of the contest planning process, the contest chair. Now, call out, but who can tell me the responsibilities of the contest chair?
Chief Judge, the functionaries, contest master, and
Exactly.
of course the contestants.
Yes, yes. This is such an important role, the contest chair. They are, as you all, many of you all well know, they are responsible for being the ultimate puppet master, as it were, behind the scenes, planning and coordinating the entire contest. They're doing everything from organizing the contest logistics. They're recruiting the contestants and functionaries, as was just mentioned, as well as the chief judge. They are promoting the contest, preparing for the venue and virtual setup, and of course, on the day of the contest, they are the ones responsible for overseeing the contest flow and making sure that the contest goes off without a hitch. People know what they're supposed to be doing. And now you may ask, what is the difference between a contest chair and a contest master? Are they the same? The answer is no, they are not the same. As we just talked about, the contest chair is responsible for overseeing the overall contest, the flow of the contest, the logistics, all of the pieces that will make the contest go off without a hitch. The contest master, on the other hand, is more like the Toastmaster of the day. They are the face of the contest on the contest day. They are really the MC. They're taking everybody through, they're introducing the contestants, they are announcing the results, they're really at the front of the room, guiding and shepherding you through the contest on the day of. Now, I will tell you from experience, because I know somebody's out there wondering, is it okay for these two to be one and the same? I do not at all recommend it. As someone who has tried to do it, it can be a lot to be both. Obviously, if you're in a smaller club, you may not have an option to assign someone else to be contest master, but if there's any way that you possibly can, I would recommend these being two separate and distinct roles. Because frankly, as contest chair, you just have too much on your plate. So assign someone else wherever possible to be contest master. Now, pre-contest planning. Here's what you should be doing 4 weeks before. You want to, as contest chair, be reviewing the rule book. It's very important for you to know what the rules are. Toastmasters International is very specific about their guidelines of how to run a contest, and you need to be familiar with it. Also, there have been some minor changes. We'll go through them today, but you want to be aware of what those changes are, and those are marked as diamonds in the contest rule book. You'll see wherever there's a change that there's a diamond in there, and we have that later on in this presentation. Also, as contest chair, you are the one who will be working with your club to determine which of those 5 contest types at the club level you want to put on. You'll confirm the contest date. You are responsible to recruit the chief judge, and as I mentioned, the contest master, and the overall planning timeline. You are really responsible for everything related to planning.
All right, we are now at 3 weeks in advance of your contest. 3 weeks, that sounds like a long time. In actuality, it's not so long when you begin working. That time goes by rather quickly. So at 3 weeks now, you should recruit your full slate of contest roles. Full slate. Can anyone think right off the top of your head how many roles you have to fill for a complete contest? Give a quick guess. Some are there for you, but take a quick guess. There are no numbers there for you, but take a guess as to how many persons you have, how many roles you have to fill for a complete contest.
Type in the chat.
All right, 14 to
Okay.
15. 14 to 15. Okay, awesome.
Yes.
You're very close. You're very close, but we'll find out for sure if that answer is right on the head. So you have to recruit your contestants, your chief judge, judges in collaboration with the chief judge. You do that. Timers, ballot counters, your sergeant at arms, test speaker. Now, for this test speaker, we suggest that you use somebody outside of your club, or maybe even if it's area, even outside of your area. And same thing for division. Somebody who the members who are the contestants are not very familiar with. We want to have an even keel, fair playing ground. So if you're familiar with DTM Hannah, then okay, I know her strategies, I know her technique of speaking. So if I find out that DTM Hannah is the test speaker, I know exactly how I'm going to evaluate her. I know her style. Okay, so it's best that you choose someone outside of your club as the test speaker. And then, of course, you are going to begin promoting your contest. Even though it may be your club contest, you want some other persons there to witness. And you would want your club contestants to go out and see what the competition is like in other clubs. So visit, support all of any other club that you know is having a contest. See how it goes. But contest chairs 3 weeks in advance. Make sure you do all these things. You have all these people in place. You're not waiting for the last minute. All right, next, we are going to look at, here you go. Now let's see if those numbers were correct. You're gonna need 1 contest chair, 1 contest master, a chief judge, a tie-breaking judge, and at least 5 judges. Now that's unless it's impractical. If you have a very small club and you only have 2 or 3 competitors, then you don't necessarily need 5 judges. You could probably go with 3. All right. You will need 2 timers, ballot counters, 2 ballot counters, 1 to 2 sergeant at arms. Now, sometimes it all depends on the contest that you were doing. As you see there, 2 sergeant at arms needed for the evaluation and table topics contest in person or hybrid or virtual. Okay, 1 for all other contests. Okay, so that it's going to vary. And then, of course, you need 1 test speaker, and that's for the evaluation contest only. So in all, the maximum amount of roles that need to be filled is what? You were close. Many of you were off by 1.
16.
Very good. 16, 15 to 16%, because 1 there we could do it out. Okay, like the sergeant at arms. Some cases we'd only have 1. So it's 15 to 16. Excellent, excellent. All right, Lauren.
We're at 2 weeks in advance of the contest. Here's what you should be doing. This is when you start communicating with your contestants. And specifically what we're recommending is that you send them the key information about the contest. First of all, the contest rule book. You will want to send them the rule book so they can start to familiarize themselves with the guidelines. The next two forms, you're actually going to need them to fill out and send back to you. One is the speaker's certification of eligibility and originality, which is just what it sounds like. We're asking them to confirm that they're eligible in a club in good standing, that they're paid up, and that their speech is original. And the second form is the contestant profile. This is helpful if you are going to be interviewing your contestants in your contest. This is just personal information that you can use to pull from for those interviews if you choose to add those to your contest. Purely optional, but these two forms, you need to send them and have them to send back to you. And then lastly, we do recognize that a number of clubs are online. And so you may want to just distribute information about the particular platform, whether it's Zoom or WebEx or however it is you're doing your online meeting. There may be some specific instructions that you want to share. Also, Toastmasters has some best practices that we'll have on the D47 website when it comes to hybrid and online meetings. So at the club level, this is just to let you know that you may want to give some additional support if you have an online meeting relative to the online platform. Now, also 2 weeks before, you'll want to make sure that your contestants are eligible. Very, very important, because if they're not eligible, they're not going to be able to compete. So what is it that makes them eligible? As we mentioned, they have to be paid up. They also have to be at a club in good standing. And for those of you that are not familiar, that means that that club has at least 8 paid members. I had to brush up on this recently, but 8 paid members to be a club in good standing. So you want to verify these 2 things. Also, from an educational standpoint, when it comes to the evaluation and table topics contests, there really aren't any requirements. This is to say that you could have a brand new or relatively new Toastmaster who's joined the club to participate in the evaluation or table topics contests. They don't really have, there's no criteria, educational criteria from a path standpoint required for these 2. However, when it comes to the international speech contest, yes, there is criteria. Contestants will have to have completed level 1 and level 2 in pathways in order to compete. So that's something that, again, you just need to make sure that you've checked before the contest. Finally, just a note, if you're a district officer or you're planning to run, you are not eligible to compete in the contest in any level. Now, at the club level, I just wanted to touch on this really briefly, but here's how you check the eligibility. If you're not familiar, you can do that on toastmasters.org. And this is the navigation. You go to My Toastmasters, go to your profile, Club Central, and you'll see membership management. What you can do is just download the club roster right there, or speak to your VPE. They will be very familiar with who is paid up and who is not. That is the easiest way to check the membership. Charmaine?
All right. We are now down to just 1 week before the contest. It's now crunch time. Some people may be a little frazzled at this time, but don't worry about it. This is why we have this format right here. 1 week before. All that good stuff we talked about from 4 weeks ago, we are now down to the final week before the contest. So confirm your contestants and your functionaries. We know that life happens. Therefore, you must confirm a week before And I would even say at least 3 days before that contest,
Anything.
that persons are still on board. They are still available
Because you never know.
to
But like
assist
shoes,
with your contest. So make sure you confirm, send them some messages, give them a call to remind them, because if they have a full plate like me, sometimes I don't remember. Make sure they have your contest on their calendars. 2, collect contestants and judges eligibility forms. Distribute, prepare judges' ballots, timing cards, ballot counting forms, and prepare participation and winners certificate. I would suggest have some assistants. Have some people on your team who are going to help you to produce all of these forms, because we are now, the majority of us are in person. So you have to have these things printed out so that everyone who is involved has the correct forms. All right, so make sure you have that done well in advance. 3, confirm the venue. Whether it's online or in person, you need to ensure that your Zoom is paid for, it's up and it's running. You have your link, you're ready to put that on your, it should have been on your flyer from the week before. If it's online, you want to make sure that's out there. And then of course, if it's in person, if you had to pay for that venue, should have secured it already. Not that shouldn't be done just at 1 week. You should have already got that done, and make sure, hey, we have a function at your site on such and such a date, such and such a time, just confirming that you're still there. We are still coming. 4, finalize your agenda. Finalize your agenda. And again, that's something else that has to be printed out. And for those of you online, you have to make sure you have it so that you could produce it online, share screen and put your agenda up, or put it in the chat so persons would have access to it. They would be able to follow what's happening. You know, we in person, we love paper. We love paper, even though we discard them, we want to see. All right, so make sure you have your agenda finalized, printed out, and ready to go. Coordinate with your area director. If additional roles are needed, your area directors are there to help you. Sometimes you need people to fill roles, or sometimes people pull out on you at the last minute. That's when you need to rely on your area director, or maybe your friends in other clubs. I need some help. Work with the other clubs within your area and get them to assist you to fill a role if necessary. 6, brief contestants and functionaries, your ballot counters, your sergeant at arms, timers, 2 to 3 days before the contest. Make sure your contestants know where they are to be, at what time they are to be there. They know, they choose their speaking order. They are aware of their speaking order, because we know that if they're not on time, they're not there when we call their names, then they only have a short window to get there. Otherwise, they're disqualified. Same thing with online. So make sure you brief them 2 to 3 days before, so no one can say you didn't tell us. And lastly, brief your judges. Coordinate with your chief judge to brief judges. It's not your job to brief them, but your chief judge's job to brief the judges. That you hold the meeting, the chief judge will do the job. And you would hear more about what the chief judge's responsibilities are in a little bit. All right, so you then look at the day of the contest. Oh my God, we are all now all jittery. We are excited though, because it's competition time. We're waiting. We're ready to hear what these speeches are going to be like. We're waiting to hear who is going to come out as the overall winner. So, of course, on that day, everybody involved must arrive early to but you as the contest chair, you have to be there to oversee all the final preparations. You have to make sure everybody is in place, everything is in place, every I is dotted, every T is crossed. And yes, you are going to be frazzled. You're going to be moving fast. You may be a little snappish as well because you have a lot on your plate, but that's okay. That's okay. You're going to do an excellent job because you're here. Next, you need to meet with your contestants and functionaries to answer any last-minute questions. Some people will be a little fearful. So they may decide, hey, you know what? I have come this far, but I don't want to go any further. I'm changing my mind. It's your responsibility now to quell that storm, calm that storm, and say, hey, we got to get this done. We're here, we're organized, we're ready to go. Then follow the contest script. Those you must have. You distribute to your contest master. All right. And then, of course, after the contest after the contest, with your club contest, you have to submit the notification of the contest winners form. This form that you're seeing right here, and you can get that at contest@toastmastersd47.org. All right. You have to send this form to us so that we could know who are the winners in your club. All right. They will then move on to the area. Area will then do the same thing. Well, really, it's the area that send it on so that we will have it for the division. And of course, the division will then send it so that we could have it for district. But ensure that you have your person's names filled out. This form is filled out and submit it to Toastmasters. If at this time you have any questions for us, feel free to raise a hand or unmute and jump in and ask a question. If Lauren or I cannot answer your question, then we have somebody in the background who will do an excellent job at helping us out. So if you have a question about contest, the contest chair, contest master, all of that good stuff, especially for your club contest, which we are rocking and rolling with already. So if you have a question, okay.
Otherwise, if there are no questions, we can take them at the end. Oh, I see one that just came in.
Okay, how could we get a copy of this presentation? It is being recorded. So
That's
I
exactly.
do have one question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi. When you talked about the different roles every club has to be aware of filling when running these contests, can those individuals holding those roles, timer, sergeant at arms, can they also compete? And if so, how do you account for them competing when they're holding an alternate role?
Our recommendation is no. You cannot compete and be a functionary at the same time. If you're a contestant, you're a contestant, and that's all that you're doing.
Let's say the sergeant at arms role, that's their actual role, but they
Correct.
want to compete because they are finally eligible to compete and they may not have before. Can someone else hold the role of sergeant at arms for the contest that that individual can compete?
I don't see why not. As long as my understanding was you were asking if they could do both at the same time, but no. The answer is yes, they can compete as long as that's the only role that they're having in the contest at that time on that date.
Okay, that was what the question I was asking. I was
Oh.
just thinking, in our club, we have certain people who are holding new roles and as leadership, and because of that, they didn't have
Oh,
an
gotcha.
opportunity to compete before. So I want to make sure it's clear to them that we will defer that role for the sake of the contest so that they can compete. And we will find someone to hold it in their stead for the
Gotcha.
contest.
Correct.
Okay, I see Nicole Nelson, Toastmaster Nicole, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Question on international speech. What constitutes in international speech? In other words, how does the person who wants to enter that contest know that their speech qualifies as an international speech? What are the parameters that tell you what's an international speech? Can I find that somewhere?
Charmaine, do you want to take that, or would you like me to take it?
You can go ahead, or Anson can assist with that.
So there's
Go
more
ahead.
detail. No, go ahead.
No,
Sorry,
no, go ahead.
answering.
Just-
There's more detail in the contest rule book, but any 5 to 7 minute speech can technically be an international speech. Those are the requirements. They're very, very broad, but it has to be a 5 to 7 minute speech.
Thank you.
And the person who is participating must be at a level 2 on a path.
Yes, 1 and 2 complete.
Yeah, level
We
2.
have a couple other questions in the chat. Let me see. Do we know the date ranges of each level? Yes, we do, and we will be sharing that shortly. What date do the club contests need to be completed by? And the area level date, we will be covering that. But to give you a super quick answer, at the club level, those need to be complete by January 14th, if I'm not mistaken. And then we'll go over each of the dates for the various levels as we go through the presentation. We are just taking a short break to see if any questions here.
Okay, Toastmaster Cooper, go ahead.
Good evening, thank you, Toastmaster Hannah, distinguished Toastmaster Hannah, Toastmaster Patrick, for your great presentation. I just had a question on the evaluation contest for the test speaker. Is there a certain requirement for the test speaker, and also can the test speaker be someone from outside of Toastmasters?
Yes, sir. The test speaker, once the speech is 5 to 7 minutes, it can be a speech of that person's choice. It could be humorous, it could be research, it could be informative, whatever the person chooses to do. It's his or her choice. And yes, you can use an outside speaker as your test speaker, just as long as they stay within the parameters of the 5 to 7 minute time frame.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a couple other questions in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, and I see some hand raised too. We might
Yeah,
have to take these. at the
Toastmaster
end.
Belinda had her hand up for a while.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Belinda?
Yes, okay. This round, if memory serves, in the fall, we basically have table topics and evaluations, and then in the spring, we have international. Is that correct?
Can you repeat that for me, please, Toastmaster Belinda? I wasn't
Yes.
clear on the question.
I am calling that
You know what?
this season, we have, usually at this time of year, we're gonna do table topics and evaluations. And then in the spring, we do the international speech contest. Is that correct? Or can we choose any of the speeches we any of those levels we want.
So Toastmaster Belinda, the short answer is at the club level, you can choose which contests you would like to hold. But
Mhm.
all of the club level contests need to be conducted by January 15th. So those include the 3 that are district level, evaluation, table topics, and international, as well as if you optionally wanted to do either the tall tales or the humorous. All of those at the club level need to be done by the 14th of January, if you are going to be doing them.
I guess what I'm remembering is because it's 3 different categories, it's usually done, you know, one contest at one time, another contest at another. It's impossible to do all 3 in
Right.
one, you know, in one day.
Right. We don't recommend that you do all 3 in one day, although it certainly is an option at the club level, but typically, and I think this may be what you were mentioning or alluding to before, is that the table topics and the evaluation are done first, and then the
Yes.
international kind of last, as close
Yes.
to the end as you can.
Okay, and the chief judge obviously has to come from another club, and the other judges do as well. What about the functionaries? Can they come from within the club?
They
Like
can.
the timer, the ballot counters, the sergeant at arms.
They certainly can come from within the club, all of
Okay.
the roles that you mentioned, but you do have
Okay.
an option, yeah, if you're limited in resources to go outside.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we have a few questions left, but we do have a good section of the presentation left and we're running behind on time. We do apologize, so we will capture the remaining questions at the end. So Chief Judge, and we will go through this a little bit quicker so that we can get to the rest of your questions. Chief Judge roles and responsibilities. So this is the other heavy role that we were talking about. And the chief judge is really responsible to ensure that the contest is following the official rules, as we spoke about. They are going to be the ones who are responsible to recruit the other judges that are required and also to brief them on the rules and everything that's going to be required during the contest. They're going to oversee the tally of votes and they're going to resolve any protests. A couple things I just want to mention about protests. Protests can only be lodged during the contest, during the actual contest, and only contestants can lodge those protests. And the protests need to be lodged to either the contest chair or the chief judge. So just a couple of things to keep in mind as you go through. Eligibility for chief judges, they need to also be a current member at a club in good standing. Preferably, I mean, obviously you'd prefer to have a chief judge that has been in the role before or who has held a club officer role. That would be ideal. But at the club level, which is what we're primarily talking about tonight, based on the contest rule books, there are no contest experiences required at the club level. Now, once you proceed into the area, division, and district level, your chief judges need to have at least 6 months of membership, and they need to have served as a club officer for at least 6 months, as well as they also need to have completed level 1 and 2 in a path. So the area level and beyond, their requirements at the club level, there aren't. Just also keep in mind, and we had some gotchas with this last year, chief judges cannot compete in any, and this is actually not just for the chief judge, but this is judges, just judges in general, are not able to compete in any contest within the same district. We did have some incidences in the past where maybe someone was in multiple clubs, they're competing in one club and they're serving as a functionary, a judge or chief judge in another club. And just keep in mind that is not allowed within the same district. Same thing, for example, if you were to compete in a club level contest and not make it to the area level, you cannot then be a judge at the area level if you're a contestant in the club level. So these are just things to keep in mind. Again, very easy to lose track of it, but this is not allowed. Also, conflicts of interest. We're going to go into this as we get into our judges training, which is coming up on Monday. So we won't go into it now, but just be aware that you must be impartial. So for example, if you have helped someone on their speech for the last 2 weeks, you probably should recuse yourself from being a judge. You're not going to be impartial. And there are other incidences where we'll get into more detail, but we just want you to be aware of these incidences. The judge's ballot, again, this will be covered in detail in the next few days when we do our judges training. But we want to really emphasize that as a judge, you're going to be scoring the contestants on these 3 factors: content, delivery, and language. And there is a lot of detail about what those specifics are. Again, we'll go into that in more detail. But the key things that you'll need to do as you're judging is to, at the end, rank the contestants. You'll need one contestant in first place, second place, and third place. Again, people get tripped up on this a lot where, you know, they'll have a name in first place and second place and not in third. And that's fine if you only have 2 contestants, but you need for this to be complete. Then you need to print and sign the ballot. Again, it's not a valid ballot unless you have your name printed and it's signed. And then finally, you're going to need to submit that to the chief judge. So again, just things that we'll cover in more detail. It's also worth mentioning too, and we're emphasizing this because the judge role is not something that we have a lot of interaction with as Toastmasters during the year. So the other thing that's important to be mindful of, that being a judge is very much not the same as being an evaluator. As mentioned, when you're judging, you're going to be evaluating the best speaker on that particular day against a very specific set of criteria. The criteria we mentioned on the previous page. It's very, very specific. You're not an evaluator. You're not going to be focusing on strengths and areas of improvement and so on and so forth. It is completely different, which is again why we're going to have much more training on this. Charmaine, let me turn this over to you, please.
Thank you, Lauren. We talked about this before and we indicated that you should select your judges 3 to 4 weeks in advance and make sure that they're eligible for this particular job. The same requirements for chief judge, what we're looking for your voting judge and your tie-breaking judge. And of course, the chief judge is the one who identifies who the tie-breaking judge is, because that person is known only to the chief judge. Now, the requirement for you to be a judge, you must be a current member in Toastmasters. Your club should be in good standing. All of these things we said already, but we're just repeating them. Your experience, preferably experience in contests and or has held a club officer role. At the club level, you don't need any experience. You could just be a member. But at the area, division, and district level now, you must have 6 months of membership and served as a club officer for 6 months. And you must have completed levels 1 and 2 of any path. That's at the area and division and district. So if you are considering being a judge at the area, division, or district level, make sure that you meet those specific criteria. All right. And then, of course, we look again at the contest rules at the club level. Doesn't change. You just need to confirm them. You have your contest chair, your contest master, your chief judge, tie-breaking judge, voting judges, timers, ballot counters, sergeant at arms, test speaker. Make sure you have everyone in place and ready to go for your club. And then, of course, the chief judge's activities 2 weeks in advance. Review the contest rule book. Familiarize yourself with the latest contest rules. And like we said earlier, in the rule book, the new changes are marked by a diamond, such as the one on the screen. Email the judges the speech contest rule book and the judge's certification of eligibility and code of ethics. Make sure they have it in advance. All right, 2 weeks in advance. Coordinate with your contest chair on contest logistics and contestant eligibility. All of this is the job of the chief judge. And of course, on Monday evening, we'll discuss some more about the chief judge. The chief judge's activities a week in advance. Conduct your judges briefing. That's very, very important. Brief your judges on the rules and the counting process. Conduct your briefing with the ballot counters and the timers. We usually do it all together in one briefing with the judges and the ballot counters and timers, but you could choose to do it separately. Coordinate with the contest chair on preparation of contest materials. Remember all those sheets we said that should be printed? Make sure that the contest chair has them available for you. And then, of course, recruit a tie-breaking judge. That's what you need to do 1 week in advance, and then you'll be ready to rock and roll on your day of contest. All right. No, we go back to the day of.
Day of.
On the day of, the chief judge. Now, of course, you're going to be there early and you're going to oversee the judging process. That's your main job. You're going to collect the speech contest, time record sheet, and instructions for timers from the timers. Collect the tie-breaking judge's guide and ballot from the tie-breaking judge. And of course, the tie-breaking judge must rank all contestants, not just the top 3, to resolve any ties. That's very, very important. Whoever your tie-breaking judge is, make sure that they are aware of that they rank all of the contestants. Resolve any eligibility or originality protests. Oversee the counting process. Ensure that the ballots are counted twice. You also have to ensure that those ballots are signed. If they're not signed, you need to reach out to try to find the judge, have them sign, call them aside if you need to, have them sign that, and then you can continue. You cannot use the ballot if it is not signed. Then provide results to the contest chair on the results form, and then include the number of disqualifications if there are any. If you are conducting an online contest, ensure your judges and ballot counters can send a picture of their ballots to the chief judge. And usually we do this via WhatsApp. That's the easiest way to do it. Send a picture to their ballot counter. The ballot counter then does his or her tally, send it on to the chief judge. All right, so that's on the day of the contest. You should be ready, and Lauren will tell you where you can get some help if needed.
Now, if you're in a smaller club and you're thinking, how in the world am I going to make this happen? Don't fret. Ask for help. Please, please, please. You can get on WhatsApp in one of the chats and seek help from other clubs in terms of getting your functionaries. You can also, and this is what I would recommend, reaching out to your area director for support. They can help you with getting together, mobilizing people from other clubs. This is what they do. They're going to be a great resource for you. But if you've tried everything and it's just not working for whatever reason, you can advance to the area level without holding a contest. Obviously, we don't recommend it, but if you need to do it, we understand. And what you're going to do is that you're just going to nominate a contestant and fill out the results form, put your nominee for your contestant who you want to advance to the area level on there, and you're going to send that to your area director and CCS. That's what to do. Now, we do have a few more minutes for Q&A, so let me go back to the chat. I think we had a hand up. Garfield, I saw your hand at one point.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned the protest, and you said during the contest, they can only protest during the contest. At what point does the contest is it determined that the contest is over?
Once the results are in.
Okay. And then
Yes.
after that, no
After the
protest?
results have been announced, you still have time. I think you still have time. Correct me if I'm wrong, DTM Charmaine, but as long as the contest is still ongoing, you can have your say, but once it's over, it's your option is no longer.
The technical answer for this is once the contest is adjourned. Once the contest
adjourned. Okay, thank you.
Because if you hear them give the wrong results, if you're the chief judge and you hear them, and that have happened in the past, they give the results backwards, we can stop them right there and say, hey, look, that's the wrong result. We need to go and look at that over. So, but once that contest, they said contest is adjourned, that's it. It's all over.
Awesome. Thank you.
Very good. Let's see. If the chief judge is to brief the other judges, she has to have knowledge. How do we go about finding a chief judge? It cannot simply be the lottery. DTM Charmaine, do you want to take that one?
Well, we are going to have a judges training on Monday. And so once those persons who are interested in becoming judges, once they go through the training, that should give us a whole list of persons who would then more or less be qualified. We would know that, okay, these people have trained, they would have been privy to what are the responsibilities, like we did tonight, the responsibilities of the chief judge, and we would have that list. And so if persons ask for help as to getting a chief judge, we should be able to provide them with some assistance.
Were there any other questions that I may have missed? Yes.
I see Mark's hand has been up for quite a while. Toastmasters Simmons.
Yes, just a quick question. First of all, I think I heard you say contestants must have at least completed level 2, or sorry, beyond level 2. That is for the district or even for the club level?
That's for the international speech. If that's for the evaluation and the table topics, there's no they don't have to complete any levels for that, but for for the international speech, then yes, they must be at least on a completed level 1 or 2.
Okay, now secondly, I am VP, obviously I'm
And
VPE.
2, sorry.
Sorry, okay, so I'm actually VPE. And so part of the organization of the event for sure will fall upon me, but I am also slated as more than likely to be a competitor. Is that a conflict of interest? I won't be a judge or won't be anything like that, but naturally I will be organizing, putting everything together and choosing people and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Is that a conflict?
I am seeing DTM Polynese shaking his head vehemently. So that is a conflict of interest, Toastmaster Simon. So I would advise you to see if you can get some assistance and have someone else do the organizing for you. Maybe your president and your VPM can assist on that side because you want to compete.
Understood. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Go ahead, DTM Price.
Okay, this is a very good question to ask. Realize that as the VPE, you are by default the contest chair. You will be choosing the chief judge. That's your first conflict. And sometimes the contest chair assists the contest the chief judge in finding judges as well. So that's where you're going to get in trouble. So if you know you want to compete, let somebody be the contest chair for the contest. So I'll have a couple of clarifications I would like to make. In the same sense of that question, if you're going to be a functionary, you cannot be a contestant. You cannot be both at the same time. Test speakers must be a paid member of Toastmasters, so they have to be a Toastmaster. Judges and contestant, they are the only two people that can launch a protest. That's mean if I'm just in the audience enjoying the contest, I cannot raise my hand and say, oh, I have a protest. Only the contestant and the judges can launch a protest. And there's two people that can receive that protest from you, the contest chair and the chief judge. And once the contest is adjourned, the result
You are muted, DTM Price. We missed the ending of what you were saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you miss?
We
I
said
think-
once you have launched and then you faded out. Launch the protest.
Right. The judges and the contestants are the only one who can launch a protest. And the people receiving the protest are only the chief judge and the contest chair. The contest chair are the ones you have to go to if you have a protest. So if I'm sitting in the assistance and I don't have none of those functions, I cannot raise my hand and say I have a protest.
Yes.
The other thing is that once that contest is adjourned, that's why it's important that you get to a conclusion after the result and say the contest is adjourned. Those results are final. No more protest.
Okay, thank you, DTM Price. We have a question, one last question from DTM Clark. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to put a question out there because it tends to come up as it relates to the speech contest rules and about maintaining eligibility through every phase of the contest. Does that mean that once a member is successful in winning at the club level and they're advancing to area, they should then be a paid member to the September payment cycle, meaning that they should be paid through or past March 31st if they intend to progress through area, division, and district?
Again, go ahead, DTM Price.
At the moment that the contest is being held, they need to be a paid member. So let's say the contest is being held right now. I don't need to pay from March to September. I'm still an eligible paid member. Now, once that contest, let's say the district contest is going to be in May. you need to be a paid member at that very moment of the contest. So that's mean you have to pay from, what is it, April to September.
Correct.
You have
I
Evelyn Benson.
Yeah, I see Evelyn Benson's hand is up.
Yes. Regarding the adjournment, the rules say that every contest, if they're being held on the same event, during the same event, so there's separate 3 contests. Each contest must be adjourned. However, the winners will be announced at the end of the event. So that changes the perspective about protests. So if we have already adjourned the table topics contest, but we have not announced the winners, so that means to say they need to lodge their protest before the contest master says this table topics contest is adjourned. Without even knowing who the winners are before the announcement. However, during the announcement, if anybody notices that it's a mistake of the order, the sequence, they can immediately stop the announcement and make the correct announcement. I think that's in the latest rule book too. So my question is this, if you can just clarify so that people don't wait, like if they competed in table topics, if they have a protest during table topics, they should lodge it before the table topics is adjourned. Don't wait until after all the 3 contests are done and the announcement is made.
Mm-hmm.
I see you nodding, Price. So
No, what you said is exactly correct. Once the contest, now the results is something else. If you're going to protest that, well, for the results, it's only the chief judge really that can say, well, this person was first place and you're announcing them as third place. That's usually what happened in the results. But for the contest itself, if you have a protest about the contest, you have to do it before they adjourn that contest.
perfect.
And
Everything you said was
and also, if I would add, protests are only limited to the person, the contestant's eligibility, the originality of the speech, and any reference to another contestant or another contestant's speech. So we can't just say protest is open to anything, just those
Right.
those 3. All right.
Quick question, if I may. Sorry to interrupt. Can a club, okay, is a club contest mandatory, or can the club just send somebody to the district or area competition?
Okay. No, the club contest is not mandatory. If you have 2 persons who the club says, we want to represent us in international or evaluation, go right ahead, submit those names to your area director.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In a small club contest, can the chief judge act as the tie-breaking judge, or do you have to have a specific tie-breaking judge, someone to take their role?
All right, no, Charmaine?
I think it all depends on how small that club is. If because it's just club now, we wouldn't do it in area or division, but in a club, I'm guessing I would say you'll be safe to be able to do it for the chief judge to actually act as a tie-breaking judge as well. But they would have to have all, like we said, all the contestants listed. They would have had to judge all of the contestants and rank them in the order, and whoever they have as first, that'll be the person who would then be the winner.
Right, I'm asking in reference to, let's say you just have two contestants,
Mhm.
you know, doing a speech or something like that.
So very briefly, before we get to that question, Toastmaster Nelson, where to find contest resources. So this training will be recorded. We will distribute the slides, but they will also be available at the D47 site here. So please find those there, as well as you will have your training materials there. You'll have the rule book, scripts, your briefing documents, and there's an Excel planning file there, which is a bit overkill for the club level, but as you get into planning contests at the area level and the district level, you're gonna wanna have some actual assistance and a format so that nothing gets forgotten with your planning there. Now, right now, the last year's materials are on there. We will have the updated materials up there shortly by the end of the month. So, but please feel free to leverage the materials that are there now. The basic difference is right now they're still heavily oriented towards online and hybrid contests, which is changing. So again, the updated materials will be there for you shortly. And then additional materials are on ti.org. We have the link there. TI actually has a whole kit, which includes everything you need, from the eligibility sheets to the certificates to the chief judges ballots and such. So everything is in these very specific contest kits. You'll find that there. And then lastly, we wanted to just mention the dates. This came up in a couple of questions. Now, the club contests need to be done by January 14th. Club contests, we know they're being held now. They need to be complete by the 14th of January. At the area level, those contests will be held from the 15th of January through the 14th of March. Division, 15th of March through the 15th of April. And then, as always, the district level contest is going to be held at the annual conference. So those are our latest and greatest dates.
The judges training will be on Monday, the 21st of October, and then our speech contest training for area and division directors will be Saturday of December 7th. So we have two more training coming up, the judges training, which is right around the corner on Monday, the 21st, and then the speech contest training for area and division directors on Saturday, the 7th of December.